So I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible. And interestingly for me, key issues are ones that have already been brought up. One, it's about decision making, because it's about how what we do within a city can be affected by the way we make decisions and how we can look at better ways of making decisions than we currently have. And it's about the DNA of what the council actually does. Because the strong leader model, which is what we have in Sheffield, and I'll explain that briefly in a moment, can be positive if it distributes that leadership down to the lowest possible level. So leadership at a neighbourhood level, growing up and then influencing what happens in terms of decision making at the topmost levels, is for me the right way around. Decision making starts at the bottom and the influence moves up to decision making at the top. More often than not, and certainly the way that things are currently structured in Sheffield, decisions are made at the top and work their way down. And it reminds me always of that old saying, you may not do politics, but if you don't, politics will do you. Because we have to be responsible for the way that we actually are governed. What our city is trying to do is to bring that conversation out into the open from behind the closed doors of council officers and of council members, and actually get the public involved in that conversation. And I can tell you that there are councillors who are prepared to have that conversation, even at cabinet level, and councillors in general from all parties who are keen to see this conversation had in public rather than behind closed doors. To try and put across a little bit of what strong leader governance is about in Sheffield. Council governance is a relatively straightforward thing. I'll try and keep this as simple as possible. But governance is about how the affairs and the policy of an organisation are conducted. In Sheffield City Council, the model of governance adopted is known as the strong leader model, whereby the leader exercises all the power if they want to, but delegates that powers to other people, in particular, in this case her, cabinet. So in the strong leader model, you have an elected leader elected by his or her party members. It's not elected by you and me. We don't elect the council leader. The leader is elected by, in our case, her own councillors. And the leader appoints an executive, which is generally referred to by us as the cabinet. Decisions are made by this executive. Whether it's the leader or the cabinet members, it's made by the executive. Those are the people who make the decisions. Subject to, they can delegate some of those decisions further down the pile. First of all, we've got cabinet portfolios, which says the cabinet members each have an area of responsibility known as a portfolio. May cover several different issues. The way that that works is that they are delegated down from the leader, the leader has all the power, through cabinet portfolios in terms of different types of function, to the cabinet. And decisions can be made either by the whole cabinet or can be further delegated to individual cabinet members who head each portfolio. I've not lost you yet, I don't think, but I'm trying. Having the leader have all the power, delegate some of that to the joint cabinet. Within that and the set of portfolios, there are some powers delegated to the individual cabinet members, and the individual cabinet members can then delegate that authority to employed officers. And then on top of that, we've got things called local choice functions, which basically are those things that the local authority can choose whether or not that is a function that has to be decided by the executive or by full council. Functions which involve either determining an application from a person for a licence, approval, consent, permission or registration is also the responsibility of the authority, which is why we have separate committees for planning, licensing, taxi licensing, bar licensing, that sort of thing. Those are what are often referred to as quasi-legal parts of the council. They have a statutory duty to look at those decisions and make those decisions outside of the executive function. So it's part of the full council's responsibility, but delegated through a committee. All other functions are to be the responsibility of the executive. Everything else that happens in the council can be decided by the leader alone.